boy, that ought to get it. Hello, Pine Top. What are you doing sitting around here with your head hung down, looking so sad?
I just think about all these piano players going around here making big money playing on these records.
Well, why don't you play on some of these records?
That's a good idea, boy. I believe I start rehearsing right now.
Gotta figure out. I got a ton of echo.
Say something again.
Okay, I think I fixed the echo problem there. Right. Today for Fallout we're gonna do like a session 0. We're gonna do like go over some character stuff, go over some setting stuff, go over some expectations and sort of the style of game, and then we'll probably just mess around a little bit so you guys get a feel for how Foundry does things for Fallout. Because it's not it's an unofficial sheet that a fan did up, so but it's fairly robust. It does a lot of things automatically. Should open a note sheet too. All right. So my idea for this is we're going to be set in the NCR. But not in the New Vegas area. So you don't have to worry about, which ending of New Vegas are we going to be using anything? We're not going to worry about any of that. We're just going to be playing in the NCR. Specifically in part of California.
Well, that could have been a better ammo roll. Could have been worse, too.
Yeah. Perfect. Jeff's here as well. Excellent. Hey, Jeff.
Brings me to 23 rounds.
Perfect. We'll do some really brief introductions first for people. I'm Chris. I'll be the game master, like I am for so many other games. I've been doing stuff for Modiphius now since like the early days of Conan. So I'm very well versed in the 2D20 system and the various permutations. That being said, the Fallout game is not terribly crunchy. It is crunchier than Star Trek. For those of you that are used to Star Trek Adventures, it's a little bit crunchier than that, but it's not to the same level as, say, Infinity or Conan. Oh, I need to beat me to it with the link. If everybody would like to introduce themselves very briefly, just so because not all of us have played together before.
Sure. I'm Anita, Chris's wife. I've been playing Fallout since Fallout 3. Uh, one of the playtesters for this. And yeah, it's probably my favorite video game, so being able to play it in roleplay is amazing. And I've been gaming for an embarrassingly long time. 32 years, I think. 32, 33, 34, somewhere in there. So, yeah. That's about it.
Noob.
Do you use they, them, and she, her interchangeably, or?
Yeah, I should them, they, them, she, her's fine. They, them is more accurate.
Got it. Okay.
But
Too many years of indoctrination in place.
Yeah, it's just I'm not gonna get fussed about it, but there's a certain amount of accuracy.
Yeah. I'm Michael Berthium, otherwise known as B. I'm in my fair share of our streamed games here as well. I do love me some Fallout. I've tried to play every iteration of it as I can. I'm an occasional GM, which reminds me I have to get back on working on a game so I can run some more Torque for people. I've been gaming for just about 30 odd years now. Not quite. It's somewhat embarrassing, but not quite as embarrassing when that means my age difference there. But yeah, I love me the 2d20 system. Great fan of Fallout. Looking forward to our very different spin on a game versus the last few we've done.
I can go next. My name is Ange. I currently play in one other game that Chris is running, our Star Trek game. I'm in a number of different Modifius flavored games over the years. I've GM'd Tales from the Loop a few times, as well as things from the Flood. I'm currently not GMing any games, but I am playing in several other ones, including everything up to classic D&D. But I love Fallout, so I'm excited to play with all of you. One of my favorite settings.
Excellent.
So I'm Jeff. I put the old mold. The young whippersnappers haven't been playing since the 70s. But it's not so much. I actually am not a Fallout player, but I do love me a good Fallen World apocalypse scenario. And the 2d20 system is actually quite intriguing, and I rather enjoy it. I've been playing Conan there with Chris, and that provides thrills and chills every second Sunday. And yeah, so hopefully we'll have some fun and do some things and try not to get killed.
Hey. And Mike.
Hi, I'm Michael Chismedia. I'll be playing the character of Oakland this evening. It's my first time joining as a player or anything in any Twitch stream, so color me nervous, but incredibly excited to play.
Welcome.
Excellent. And
Get on board.
Yeah, and these are all players that I've played various games with or run games with for, I think, Ange and Mike, I've only played with them once, but they're great players, so I'm super happy to have them on board. Anita, B, and Jeff, I have played with for decades.
Yes, that's a lovely way of putting it.
Yeah, so, but we're just going to be here to have some fun. So, part of the session 0, we're going to go through the first and kind of most important part of session 0 is determining where people don't want to go. I mean, it is Fallout. Fallout is sometimes very dark, sometimes very humorous, but we want to make sure that we don't go anywhere that people don't want to go. So, like, right off the bat, when I run games, I stay away from anything like violence towards children, sexual exploitation, anything like that. Just that's a hard no. My games do not include that. But if there's anything else that people would like to shy away from, and if you don't, because we are streaming it, if there's something that you don't want to shy away from, but you don't want to be on the Twitch saying, "Hey, I'm not comfortable with this," just send me a private message. I've got the Discord open there, so.
Arachnids. That's not a surprise.
So
Everybody knows that about me, I think.
where you guys are going to be in kind of a deserty setting, are scorpions okay?
Scorpions are okay because they're not spiders.
Okay.
Spiders are the issue.
Okay.
You need giant spiders with big googly eyes.
Oh, yeah, I'm not finding googly eyes either. Not entirely sure why. They just eyeballs in general.
and just to get the GM as well, ridden by a bunch of porcelain dolls.
Yeah. See, I will happily put porcelain dolls in games to freak out other people.
Yeah,
Fair
I
enough.
have one porcelain doll in the house, and he gets all creeped out.
Yeah, but it's a creepy doll.
It is. It is. It's Claudia from the Anne Rice vampire novels. So she is kind of creepy.
She is. I will note as well, in case anybody has issues with it, that it's Fallout. There are going to be bad guys, specifically that engage in slavery, forced labor, and cannibalism. Those are not things that PCs will be doing. And anybody that is doing that, you can clearly identify as a bad person. I'm a firm believer that every game, every setting needs, you need your Nazis, you need your zombies, you need your things that you can just deal with without feeling any moral qualms about it. And those sort of people in Fallout will serve that purpose.
Yeah, I think Marv said something about that in Sin City. I love killing hitmen. No matter what you do, you don't feel bad about it.
Exactly. And like it's one of those things, like, and it's one of the issues I have with a lot of long-running franchises where they take somebody who's clearly a bad guy and then they start to humanize them. But yes, like if you run into raiders may be good or bad, but if you run into raiders that are involved in the slave trade or cannibalism, they are bad guys. They will not be redeemed. You can deal with them as you see fit.
Generally, after a long run of bang, 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 bang.
And then lots of looting.
Yes.
Yes.
But aside from the very obviously taboo topics, is there anything else, like is anybody have claustrophobia to the part where they don't want their characters to deal with enclosed spaces or anything of that nature? Or is kind of the obviously taboo stuff enough, and then if something else happens to come up in game, we'll do like a virtual X card sort of thing?
I do have one thing that's activated me a bit in the past, which is around just how we all play together at the virtual table. And I wanted to ask if the players would be comfortable with it, which is that kind of anything that happens in game at the table, all of the players know about, even if the PCs don't know about it. So to give an example, like if I'd chosen to play my Brotherhood of Steel character and I was getting, missives from the Brotherhood to like betray the party or something like that, I would expect that would be shared openly amongst the player base, but that in character we would be expected to suspend our disbelief and play as if we didn't know that information. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
That makes perfect sense.
Yep.
The metagame should stay as the metagame, and the in-game should stay as the in-game. In the metagame, you would let people know that this is what's going on. Then in the actual game, we are all expected to then ignore what's happening in the metagame.
Yeah, and I think for me it comes from a place where, we all probably have had experiences this, because it sounds like many of us are tenured gamers here, where it may feel sometimes like, passing notes underneath the table. It just feels very exclusionary, and I find, especially in a virtual setting, that can make you feel like you really don't know what's going on with things. So I just like things to be very transparent.
About the only time I'm passing notes to anybody is asking a lot of questions about rules I don't quite understand.
That That's usually in the chat, so that should be fine. Yeah.
Right?
My joke is after playing Vampire LARP for like 10 years, you really
Oh my God.
understand the metagame.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't want to be
Yep.
that. And you definitely don't want in a mostly cooperative game, which this actually is a more than mostly. You don't want that, blindsided by someone playing both ends against the middle. Out of game.
Oh God, yes. You know, working the bills outside the game, and then the next thing you know, how the hell did you know that?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, that's something. And I know sometimes like I'll get a little bit kind of carried away if a player wants to do something really cool, and I will forget to bring it out in the open. So don't feel bad to remind me about that.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Will do.
Yep.
Speaking of reminders, this link is still dead for me.
Is it? Like,
Weird.
Can you try linking from the Discord, maybe?
I don't have Discord native on my computer. I just use.
Gotcha.
Not much sense without having a mic.
If you use the link that you use for Conan, it should work. No, wait, Conan is on the Forge. Never mind.
Just send him the link in Facebook or something.
I did. He got a connection timed out error.
That's weird.
That is pretty weird.
Oh, technology.
Isn't it fun? Clearly, I apparently did not sacrifice the proper amount of chickens this morning.
It's very much like a modern day seance.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Oh,
Is
God.
anyone with
No, it's that the new link's giving me the timeout thing. I don't know if it's it's not.
Did you go to upgrade a key component of the network without testing anything first?
Is that what Rogers did?
That's what they're claiming happened. They went to do an upgrade and without testing things and dropped the whole thing.
Oh, lovely. All right. We'll keep kind of if anything, like if you're like, oh shit, I should have mentioned this is a thing for me. By all means, mention it either in the chat or private DM or whatever. We'll kind of keep the idea as to what may be possible issues as an open and ongoing thing, as opposed to a set in stone thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mechanics wise, there are some issues in the Fallout core rulebook. There has been an errata issued, and I think there's supposed to be another one coming out. So the updated PDF is better, but there are still some issues. So when we come into a thing where the rules don't seem to say what we think they should say, we'll kind of come up with whatever makes for the better story or for the characters being more awesome.
Okay, good answer.
Oh, excellent.
Well, it turns out the native Foundry link that I have, I went in and pulled it up, and I went, oh, okay, thanks, great, let's go.
Huh. Perfect. I will assign a character to you. All right. So if we'll try not to take a whole bunch of time looking up rules and stuff like that. I do know the Fallout system very well and the 2D20 system overall very well. In Foundry, under the Journal tab, the one that looks like a little kind of open book, you should see a folder there called Rule Sheets, and I kind of broke down some things that are going to be fairly common, like how action points are used, what actions you can do in a round, how luck is used, what the effects are for weapons, and what the weapon qualities are. So you guys should all be able to have easy access to those as needed. And when we get into the mechanics, we'll kind of go through those step by step, because there are some differences from Conan and from Star Trek Adventures. But the core 2D20 system is still the same.
Yeah.
All right. One of the other things I wanted to do during this kind of session 0 is to kind of get an idea as to what sort of aspects of things you guys want. Do you want to do a bunch of exploration? Do you want to interact with NPCs? how much combat should there be, all of that sort of thing. I mean, most of us have played enough Fallout games to know that there's a variety of different things to do. There is no settlement building in Fallout 2D20, so if your goal is to build a big settlement, that will largely be hand-waved. I've tried to cobble together rules for a previous game, and they were really hit and miss. We won't be doing that, but if you guys are like, hey, let's take this homestead and turn it into a farm and start farming some crops, we'll definitely handle that in-game, but it won't be mechanics or skills or anything of that.
It'll be roleplay instead.
Yeah, roleplay and narrative, yeah. So, is there anybody who's like, oh, I hate combat in games, I don't want to shoot things? Is there people who hate exploring and like tracking of resources and all of that stuff?
Oh, if I said I don't want any of those things, I made the wrong character.
Really, though?
Game.
Yeah.
All of
I think
those are
it's a
running
good
hard
point to
to
bring up because I get the impression some people are like going to be all about the crunchy building weapons and making them cooler and armor, making it cooler and things like that. And other people are going to be like, nah, I want to do other things.
Oh, we got a guy to make stuff better for us in Crunchy. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Yeah.
It's always good to have a wide spectrum of talents. Hey, look at the Conan game.
Yeah. And for sure, and we can make sure too, like if somebody wants to like gather the stuff to mod things, we can work out all the details of how mods work and what needs to be rolled and stuff off board, and then just do the dice rolling at the start of the game and get it over and done with, so it doesn't impact the actual time we have.
Yeah. That's what Discord's for.
That is what Discord is for. Worst case, I'll post I'll give you guys my email address too. So if you want to email me something, because sometimes I don't check Discord as often as I should, because I've got Discord channels for like every single game I run. But I do check my email like 5,000 times a day. When it comes to things like that, we can do a lot of the the number crunching and everything off board, and then just like when we hit the game, we're just like, okay, give me this roll, boom, the mod is made, slap it onto your character sheet, done.
Okay.
So, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously there will be role-playing around getting access to workbenches and, actual adventuring to find the mods and recipes and all of that sort of stuff, but the actual number crunching we can handle without taking up some of our playtime.
Yeah, because otherwise, as we found out, it turns into a lot of dead time while someone spends an entire day crafting 2 mods.
Yeah.
Yeah. It can be
It can get chunky.
Yeah.
Yep. Other than that, my plan is to have this focused on the adventurers as opposed to the adventure, because it's an article that I read that I really think encapsulates different gaming styles very well. So I don't have a big mega plot with a huge thing that's going to destroy the entire valley and all of that sort of thing. It's going to be up to you guys to decide what you would like to do, where you would like to go, who you would like to talk to, what jobs you would like to take, and so on and so forth.
What? You mean like an open world environment? No.
You mean like Fallout?
Yes. So that's my intent. If you guys would rather have like a big overall meta plot, by all means, let me know, and I will come up with something. But I found over the course of running more and more games, as I go for that bigger plot, it's a lot harder to slot in personal things. So.
We'll conspiracy theory one that's not even there. Just trust us.
Yes.
Yeah, constantly.
Guaranteed.
I'm
If there's
sure
one
we'll.
thing players do.
It's all
I'm sure
Dagon's fault.
It'll be fun because yes, you know your players well.
So with that being said, if there are things that you in particular want to explore for your character, if you want to like throw me a character hook, I will do my utmost to get it into the game. But there was it might have been the roundtable I watched with Matt and the folks from Critical Role, who are, when a player gives you a hook, it's an invitation, and I will do my best to work it in, but I may not get to it right away. So if there is something that you want to see, throw it my way. And if you don't see it start to materialize, it might mean that it has slipped my mind. So don't hesitate to go like, oh, remember when I told you about that thing that I wanted to do? And I will do my best to get those kind of personal things in.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Right. The last thing I wanted to touch on with this being set in the NCR and not Vegas, there's a lot of like open space. Is there anything you guys right off the top of your head are like, this is something I would like to see in the game? It could be like, I want there to be a casino so my character can go gambling, or I want there to be wild packs of mutant dogs that have achieved intelligence because it's followed and weird shit happens.
The Robo Brain Revolution.
A casino ran by a robo brain where all the tables are worked by intelligent mutant dogs. There you go.
God.
Everything all in one.
Yeah, and in every wall there's a picture of dogs playing poker.
The secret combination to get into the vault part of the casino is understanding which card is the cheat card in each of those paintings.
And I will be upfront, one of the appeals of Fallout for me is the weirdness. Like, I always take the extra weird option when I start a game. So that means that you are probably going to run into like the Zetans, or
Ooh.
or bizarre vault experiments or things of that nature, because I like the weirdness, and the Art Deco style is what really sets Fallout apart from other post-apocalyptic games.
It's not Fallout with it weird vault stuff.
Right? Because, man, some of them are... Wow. That was a bad idea.
Gary.
It's not really a Chris game. It's not really a Chris game without some weird stuff.
They tend to dovetail nicely, don't they?
Our Star Trek Adventures has an entire episode that's redacted, and the players have clung to that mercilessly.
And it's hilarious, because there are two Star Trek games. There's the afternoon game and the evening game. The afternoon game has the redacted episode. The evening people only know what was shown in memes in the Discord. We have no clue what happened. None. We know it was wonky, because some of those memes were really trippy. That's all we know. And none of them will talk about it.
As they should.
Yeah.
All right. So is there anything in particular that kind of like says Fallout to you that you would like to make sure that the game touches on?
There's always got to be some Brotherhood of Steel quests to go on. They always need something from everyone else.
Everything.
But they need stuff from everyone else, but we're no one else's people.
Right? So I kind of expect that. I expect a smart super mutant out there amongst all of the angry, violent ones.
Or not even smart. Just, because Swan isn't terribly smart.
Swan is a terror.
He's
strong. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. Swan is a terror.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Strong isn't
really
smart.
Like
He's just smarter than usual.
Crazy plot from, I think it was Fallout 3. where they had the super mutant radio. That was honestly
God, yeah.
wonderful. I think I would actually, I know it sounds silly, but I'd actually like there to be a radio plot. There was always a radio plot in all the games, and I enjoy the fact that there's somebody on the airwaves. So I don't mind the introduction of plot being done through picking up a radio signal randomly or something like
Yeah.
that. That would be cool to me.
The
I really
radio-
actually enjoyed New World. I know a lot of people didn't in Fallout 4, and I also really enjoyed Far Harbor. So I could
I love
easily
Far
see
Harbor.
themes from those two. Yeah, Far Harbor like touches my Lovecraft interest in all the right ways. So
That
I could
and
get behind
honestly,
it.
Far Harbor and a little bit 76. But Far Harbor feels so much like New Brunswick, it's not funny.
Oh my god, yeah. But that's because,
Like-
New England.
If you've spent any time in the woods in New Brunswick, it's like, oh,
Especially on a foggy night.
yeah. It's like, this is really familiar.
That same creeping dread, even though nothing's wrong.
Mosquitoes the size of your head.
The guy across the way from you could be a synth.
Yeah, you just never know. But yes, the radio, it's almost a shame that Twitch won't let us play music, because honestly, the radio is one of the best things about Fallout. It just sets the tone.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
If people want a radio plot, do you think Mark might be willing to record some stuff for you?
I will definitely give that a try.
Amazing. That would be amazing. Mark has the best radio voice ever.
And he does have a deep, abiding love of Lovecraftian horror, too.
He does.
Ooh.
He absolutely does.
Even if you get to like record like the startup for the game, the recap of the night before type of thing, come in with like some music and and then everyone did this and that happened and this happened and some sound effects. It'd be kind of cool.
That being said, I am in the process of curating a list of public domain, free to use, thematically appropriate music.
You do have a good selection.
That'd be really nice.
So it's probably going to lean more towards like 1920s jazz and blues, because some of that stuff is public domain now.
Big band.
So you won't get like you probably won't get like the 50s vibe that Fallout is known for, but I should be able to find some appropriate mood music. But I agree. I love, my favorite quest in all of Fallout is the whole Silver Shroud thing that you go through.
Mm-hmm.
And listening to like the Silver Shroud radio. Like, I don't listen to the music, I listen to the radio plays. Yes, and if I can convince Mark to record some audio snippets for me, I will do so.
And
I mean, if not, there are other options.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. I am going to play my Vault character, so I definitely would want to explore that Vault at some point. I have some ideas about what the Vault experiment could be, but I haven't firmed it up yet, so I'm open to workshopping it. Maybe we can do that through the chat, though.
Yeah, we can do that through the chat for sure. And yes, a Vault character definitely means, and that's something else. Like, if there wasn't a Vault character, I don't know if I would put Vaults out there to be found, or if people would know anything about them. But having a Vault character means that people are going to know that these things exist and may go looking for them for what they contain. So, really, Vault quests are the Fallout equivalent of like a dungeon delve, really.
Oh, given how twisty and turny and weird they are, absolutely.
I like to think that any maps I come up with will be easier to read than the Fallout maps, but I can't guarantee that. Is there anything else? Any other elements? Like, I mean, obviously there's going to be raiders doing raidery things and stuff like that, because that's all part and parcel. But is there anything else that people really, really go like, oh, I need that for Fallout?
I'm just here for the ride.
All right.
Say, I do like Nuka World as well, Ange. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Ghoul communities. I don't know if other people, like, I was always about hearing about the Ghoul communities and how ghouls would form communities. That interested me. Even exploring the subway tunnels, I actually I liked that, even though there was far, far too many of them at times.
I gotta say, some of my favorite DLC was probably Mothership Zeta. I know I'm going back
Yeah.
to Fallout 3 here.
That's fine.
Or Point Lookout. I sunk so many hours in Fallout 3. I had all of the DLC. I maxed out everything I could in that game. Did everything I could. Yeah, the Zedans are in every one that I've played so far. They should definitely be here. And finding the captain's gun should be something we can do. There is always a random Zedan blasting everywhere.
Well, that was the weird thing. Like when we play tested, there was no mention of the Zedans anywhere, and then when the book came out, they're right there in the bestiary section. We're like, oh shit. Perfect. All right. Okay. Is there anything else non-mechanic that people feel like we should address during this session 0 thing? Things that people want to know ahead of time.
For some reason, being a landlocked person that I am, I suffer severe deep water anxiety. So I expect some form of deep water anxiety inducing fun here.
Like following up on something took us to an old oil rig off the coast.
Right?
Yeah.
Delving deep in there and going down and the creepiness.
Plus the old ones on top of that.
So is that something that you don't mind seeing a game, or something that you would rather not?
I would absolutely want to see something like this in game.
Being
God,
landlocked, it's the only experience you'll have with deep water.
God, Chris, we'll have to get him to play Conan.
Actually, Mike plays in the Conan game I play in that Tony runs.
Yeah.
I'm playing the cannibal sorcerer of the group.
Yeah, but there's probably not quite as many aquatic encounters.
No.
Just the one so far.
Yeah.
Poor Tibby.
Yeah, our Conan game started off as a pirate game with like Cthulhu-esque and the Rising of Riley type of overtones. There's one pirate who's petrified of the water. And tentacles.
Yeah, always.
I swear, you attack a character like 5 times with tentacles and they get a thing about it.
Yeah, can't imagine
Right.
why.
Oh, what's up with that?
All right.
It's the suckers, really.
It goes one or two ways when those get involved.
So, as your characters kind of venture out to explore the world, something that I really like from some of the Powered by the Apocalypse games is giving you guys some narrative control. So if you come across a settlement, if you would like, rather than asking me like, oh, is there a shop here? Is there this? Is there that? If you just tell me, hey, my characters traveled through here before, I remember this place. Unless I have an actual plan for that settlement, which odds are I don't, feel free to make these sort of suggestions, because it gives your character kind of a sense of belonging of these places that they've traveled through before. I mean, by all means, you can definitely ask me if there's a place, but if you want to say, hey, I remember this place, I am on board with that. And it's even better.
Cool.
It's even better if you have a name for the place, because then I don't have to come up with one.
The sheer honesty in that statement.
So,
Yeah, like Jimmy's Beat Sticks, a shop that specializes in melee weapons that are all bludgeoning.
Or, you know, there could be a place that serves all of their meat on sticks on like tiny little daggers, and the prices are exorbitant, but you get to keep the dagger afterwards.
That's pretty cool. I would definitely eat their character.
I've got a player in one of my games. In every game that he goes on, he always finds the place that sells meat on sticks. Doesn't matter if it's a Cyberpunk game or a D&D game or Conan. Doesn't matter.
Well, there's always a place that sells meat on sticks.
It's universal.
Is it Dawn?
It is Dawn.
It's a universal thing, I think, really.
Yes.
To be fair, Dawn also in real life will buy meat on sticks. Doesn't matter where.
Absolutely. It's a thing. The stick is just a delivery mechanism, really.
Yeah. Eat off a stick.
All right. So we'll probably come back to kind of the dry, boring stuff of game prep as things kind of come to our mind. But we'll do like a little kind of a tour of the character sheet so you guys know where you can find things. Each of you should, under the Actors tab and then under PCs, have a character sheet assigned to you. For those of you who sent me characters ahead of time, I've inputted all the stuff. The rest of you, you can just either send me your character sheet or plug it in as you go, either way.
I shared it on the channel, but it's all right. I filled it all in by now.
Perfect. All right. So we'll just do like a quick character sheet tour. Name, picture, current XP. I've been debating whether I'm going to do XP or milestone. The XP system as written allows for very rapid advancement.
My God, yeah.
That being said, I think it's mitigated some if you do the D&D thing and like, okay, this encounter is worth 200 XP and there's 5 of you, so everybody gets 40 XP as opposed to everybody gets the full 200. I think that mitigates that to some extent.
I agree with that one.
Yeah. To me, XP for leveling just seems more Fallout. Especially if we take the tact that when you level, you immediately get your free health and your perk and your skills, because sometimes when you're playing the video game, that is like key to surviving an encounter.
Yeah.
That's
Classic
the difference between
Bethesda.
life and death. Yeah.
So I think I'm still going to do XP. I'm just gonna alter it from the core book, just because it seems more Falloutish to me.
Okay.
I'm good with this.
That being said, you will get XP for like not just for killing things, but for completing quests. And there are rules in the core book too, where you can get XP for, if it's a really difficult lock to pick and you pick the lock, you can get XP for that. If it's a difficult terminal to hack and you hack it, you can get XP for that. So they actually do use the XP for skill use.
Which is right in the game.
Yeah,
Nice.
Again, that seems very, very Falloutish to me.
Yeah.
So on your character sheet, the first tab, the status tab, is kind of an overview of your character's overall health, your defense bonus, your initiative, on all of that sort of stuff. It's where you find your hit points, any injuries that you might have. All of the good stuff is on that status track. And the guy that designed the character sheet did a great job with it. It is set up so that when you equip armor or clothing, it will modify your damage resistance automatically.
Nice.
And it will key in, like, if you're wearing clothing and armor, you only take the highest damage resistance, and it'll automatically do that for you as well. So as we play, we'll be visiting the sheet many times, but this is where you're going to track your injuries and all that sort of stuff as well.
Oh, foreboding.
Oh,
Yes.
trust me, it happens a lot.
Yeah. The next tab is your abilities, so your stats and your skills and your perks. Once I have everything entered in, you'll be able to just click on the perk and there'll be a drop down that tells you what the perk does, so you'll have easy reference to it. You will notice, for those of you that are familiar with Star Trek Adventures or Conan, your target numbers starting off are going to be a lot lower than they are in those two games. In Conan, every single character is essentially Conan. And in Star Trek Adventures, everybody is, a graduate of Starfleet Academy and is the best of the best.
Or schmucks, take your pick.
So your target numbers starting off in this are going to be much lower. Like, I think if you absolutely min-max out your character, the best you can get is a target number of 13 for a roll.
Yeah.
That being said, as you level, the cap on starting skills goes up to 6 as opposed to 3. So you'll start to see fairly rapid improvements in your character as you advance. It's not a game. There's no dead levels. Every time you level up, you get things. Every time you level, you get more health, you get one more skill point, and you get a free perk. Skills. When you go to roll something on your character, if you just click on the skill, it'll pull up a little dialog box that'll basically list the attribute, the skill. If it's a tag skill, you can check it, and how many dice you're rolling. The nice thing about it is, if I say I told you to roll agility plus strength. Strength defaults, or agility defaults to strength. And if I say agility and athletics, if you right click, you get a little drop down menu that'll tell you, ask you what stat you want to roll with it.
Oh, that's cool.
The weapon table. When you're making an attack, you'll be able to just click on the weapon and it will roll it for you. Again, it'll pull up the little dialog box. It'll say, this is your attribute, this is your skill. If it's tagged yes or no, how many dice, hit the roll button. When you roll the damage for a weapon, it will list out how much damage and how many effects you rolled. And then a little symbol as to whether it's physical damage, energy damage, poison damage, or radiation damage. For the first several times, I'll kind of go through this with you each step of the way, just so you know what everything means as it's coming up. The apparel tab is where you will list any clothing or armor will get listed here. Perfect. You'll notice it'll tell you right off like what the locations and what resistance it has, and then there's a checkbox for stowage and a check for equipped. And as long as it's equipped, it'll add everything onto your status sheet. Gear is where everything else goes. And once I have everything added in, it'll automatically be slotted into the proper places, whether it's a mod, whether it's a consumable, whether it's a book, whether it's miscellaneous, so on and so forth. It'll automatically put it into the proper part of your character sheet. Data, you don't have to worry about, and effects you don't have to worry about.
Cool. It's kind of like elements of, like Conan and the other ones, but yet still different, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, they always like change up the 2d20 system based on like whatever the particular system or genre is. So the Conan one is more geared towards that heroic sword and sorcery. Fallout is more geared towards Fallout. Star Trek is very much geared towards Star Trek. John Carter is very much geared towards like that pulp action-y type of thing. My understanding is I think it's the Dune system. They don't actually use the D6s at all. It's all D20s.
Okay.
But
So
I haven't looked at it yet.
Is party AP the same as momentum?
Yes. Action points are momentum.
But of
Cool.
course, as with every system, with a twist on them.
Yep. So for those of you that have played, because I think everybody here has played at least one iteration of a 2D20 game. The core part of it is momentum or action points, and I will probably use that term interchangeably, just because I run a variety of 2D20 games. But you use it the same way that you do in other games. You can use it to buy extra dice to roll. You can give me action points if there's none in the pool to roll. The costs for extra dice are the same as they are in Star Trek. So it's a sliding scale as opposed to Conan. So buying the first die is 1 action point, buying the second is 2 more, buying the third is 3 more. So you do tend to go through your action points a little bit quicker. Other than that, you generate them the same way. You know, if your target number is 1 and you roll 4 successes, then you get 3 action points.
Does it have a 6 cap as the other one?
It does have a cap of 6, but there's certain gear and there's certain perks that actually raise that cap.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Oh, cool.
So all those times when you're playing Star Trek or Conan and you're like, oh shit, I've got overflow, I guess I'll spend it on something. There are ways around that in Fallout.
Yeah, it's almost like it's evolved or something.
Yep. Well, it's... I think it is the newest of the 2D20 games. I think Octan Cthulhu might have come out slightly before, but they're constantly evolving it.
Yeah, I remember when you ran the playtest. That was fun.
Yeah. All right. Mechanics are the same as they are in any 2D20 game. You're going to roll 2D20. Target number is your attribute plus your skill. You need that or less. If you roll equal to or less than a skill and it's a tag skill, that's going to count as 2 successes. So that's going to be like your focus in Conan or Star Trek. The advantage is you don't have to, unlike Star Trek, you don't have to determine whether or not a particular focus is applicable, because it's the skill overall that you're good at. Luck. Everybody has a luck attribute. In addition to being one of your attributes, it's also a pool of points that you can spend to kind of shift the odds. So this would be similar to determination in Star Trek or similar to fortune in Conan. You can spend a luck point to introduce a helpful factor detail about the situation. So like, say you're scavenging and you really need 10mm ammo and it just doesn't come up on the scavenge chart, you can spend a luck point to say, oh look, I found some 10mm ammo. Yay. The Game Master I can say, hey, do you want to spend luck for that? Or I could also say, that's not really a thing you're going to find here, sorry. Or I might say, you can, but you have to spend 2 luck. But spending luck allows you to slightly shift a situation in your favor.
And I believe you can also do things like, oh, I don't know, 1 luck's not quite enough, but if you spend 2.
Yep, absolutely. You can spend a point of luck before making a skill test to use luck instead of whatever the default attribute is. Obviously, this is only good if your luck is higher than the attribute that you're rolling. But if you need to get out of the way of a plasma mine and your agility is 4 and your luck is 8, you might want to spend that luck point to roll your luck instead. You can spend luck at the start of a round or immediately after somebody else has acted. You can spend 1 luck to interrupt it and take your turn. There is no random initiative in Fallout. Your initiative number is when you go in the round. So if that raider has an initiative of 12 and you have an initiative of 10, every round that raider is going to go before you. But you can spend a point of luck to interrupt him and go first.
That's a key one.
Yes, sometimes that is a lifesaver. And the most important use of luck, you can spend 1 or more luck points to re-roll dice in a dice pool. You can re-roll 1 d20 or up to 3 combat dice per luck point, and you can spend multiple luck points on a roll, but any given die can only be re-rolled once. So if you're making that important roll and you roll like a 20 and a 19, you can spend 1 to re-roll the 20 to get rid of the complication, hopefully, or you can spend 2 to re-roll both of them. But once they're re-rolled, they stay as they roll. Replenishing luck points, you regain luck at the start of a new quest. So basically, I'll say like this is the start of a new quest, or you've reached a milestone, and so on and so forth, and your luck will replenish. Generally, I tend to do it like when you've achieved something. If your character starts with a lucky trinket, you can spend an action kind of in combat to interact with your lucky trinket to regain a point of luck. Okay. Any questions or anything so far?
No, good for me.
I mean the personal trinket.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
In a combat round, you can do 1 minor action and 1 major action. There's a list under the journal tab, so we won't go through them all. You can downgrade your major to a minor, but you can never take more than 2 minors and never more than 2 majors. So you could, for example, like take out a chem as part of your interact and then take chem as a minor action, but then you would not be able to move because you've used 2 minors. You could spend action points to do another major if you wanted to use that to move, but the hard and fast rule is 2 minor, 2 major maximum, and anything listed as a movement action you can only do 1 of. So if you get knocked prone, for example, you can't stand up and move. But we will go through all of that step by step when we have an actual encounter. Other than that, you guys have played 2D20 systems. The mechanics are super easy. As a general rule, if you can do it in the video game, you'll be able to do it in this, either by the rules as written, or we'll hash something out to let you do the thing. Right. So I guess the next part, characters. I know some people have fully done their character already. Some people were toying around with it still. My only request as game master is that your characters are deep down at some level good people. Could be buried way, way, way deep down there, but we're not
below the subcockle.
Right, but I don't enjoy running evil games. And I find they tend to fall apart very quickly even when they do run. So I expect all of the characters on some level to be good people. Doesn't mean you can't steal, doesn't mean that you can't fleece people. It means if you murder somebody for their shoes, I'm probably going to have the Brotherhood of Steel or some law enforcement agency come down on you.
Steal them back.
But if you off a raider and take his boots, he was a raider. He deserved what was coming. So with that, is there anything character-wise? Is there anything people feel like they need to know either about the very broad setting or locales or anything like that? My intent is for the game to start off as you guys are all newcomers to a settlement. A little place called Paradise. A little like wide space in the road, as it were. So you don't necessarily know anybody here, but if you're like, oh, my character, you know, like I know Mike's character as a part of his mercenary thing, has a note about a job. So that job will probably be the reason why Oakland has come here. The rest of you have heard that, although it's a small little town, they do have work available, essentially.
I have a job note too.
Excellent.
I hear there's a quest to kill some kind of a giant boar.
No, it's to go kill boars in the forest.
Bring back 5 rats from the basement.
Woohoo!
Rat.
Which you may laugh, but I did that to my Fallout group playing a game.
Rats are terrible.
They
are horrible things.
The group, I think Anita was playing as JJ. I can't remember if 3 was there or not, but they ran into these bots whose programming had been corrupted by like MMO programming.
God.
So they literally had a kill 5 rats in my basement, escort this person from point A to point B while the person moved around randomly.
It was horrible. And yes, I was playing JJ. I know that at least one of the bots was with us that night.
Yeah. Yes, Mrs. Cloutfire was with you guys.
Yeah.
God,
so weird.
So this little town of Paradise, which is a small little place. It's modern day. It would be. It's kind of like middle of California. So you're not really close to the ocean. Although with Mike's suggestion, we'll find a way to work that in at some point. I mean, there is a river and a reservoir, so we'll see what we can do.
Oh, come on, like a nice bottomless lake sort of thing.
Yeah. But yes, you guys are going to be arriving essentially with the promise of work. I mean, it's Fallout, caps for caps. What I may do is have just a little encounter on the road, just so we can kind of get hands-on with some of the mechanics in a non-threatening, non-stakes environment. But is there anything that you guys would like to know about the area, about raider activity, anything you think your character might have been aware of?
So I'm playing a mercenary technician. What might I have heard of in the area beyond the note promising me a job in the next city?
This little town of Paradise, basically they've got a call out. They're like, hey, we have work. There's mines nearby that can be mined, so it might even be something as simple as just making sure the mining equipment that they have is up to par. I mean, it's not a glamorous job by any stretch, but it'll pay some caps and get a roof over your head.
Is there any food or more particularly drink that's popular in the area?
The town of Paradise they do have water issues because they're in the middle of a kind of a parched desert. So anything that you can bring from outside that is a drink would probably be very valuable to them. But the town itself, it's a dry town in a very literal sense.
So we're playing in Tennessee. Gotcha.
Yeah, if Tennessee was a desert, you'd be all set.
Well, like get climate change, do some work here. You might get there.
Yeah.
I'd love to just go over, at a really high level, people's characters in a round robin to answer your question. I think 3 topics back, Chris. Sorry about that, but
no worries.
That would be helpful for me. Yeah.
I was thinking, in game the easiest thing to do would be that you guys have met up because there is safety in numbers. So you guys, we'll use the cliche of traveling along the road together. So everybody definitely do even just like a very high level overview of your character. You don't have to get into the nitty gritty of like character backstory or anything of that nature, but kind of like a high level what people would have known over the course of like 4 or 5 days as you travel from point A to Paradise.
Maybe I'll go first since I asked. Oh, go ahead, Anita.
Sure.
Tell me about
Rebecca's a
Rebecca.
ghoul, and she is a medic. She's got a Brahmin that she picked up somewhere, sometime, that she talks to quite often. She seems to have some stuff on it. Not entirely sure what yet, just because I haven't rolled that. And yeah, she's hoping to find more work as a doctor. Go for it.
Thanks. So I'm going to play Malibu, and she is naive to the wasteland in many ways, since you get the impression she didn't leave the vault all that long ago. And she has a pretty happy personality. She's an easy person to talk to. Rebecca would probably be annoyed because she does believe in the healing power of crystals and certain rocks, which I'm certain that they will have many discussions about in this game.
But have you tried the calcite?
Exactly. Yep.
Boise is rather slim and trim. He's kind of if he sits too long, he gets a little twitchy. He's a noted light sleeper and tends to fade into the background quite easily. He does have a well-maintained hunting rifle that he tends to keep on him at all times.
Well, I'm playing AB5. He's your droid. And there's nothing humanizing about it. There's been no attempt to have clothes, no attempt to do this. He's just a pretty stark-looking Mr. Handy. And in conversations, he does like to use the word meat bags a lot, but affectionately. As basically he's a stealth assassin droid that's had its programming partially corrupted by a Mr. Handy unit. So he might want to kill some humans, but unfortunately he ends up helping them.
So what kind of plating you got?
Instead.
What's your base hull plating, out of curiosity?
No, I just have standard plates.
Okay, you didn't go with the gutsy?
Nope, I wanted the armor.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That way I can quest. My two basically awesome skills are things like energy weapons and small guns, and I have neither.
Yeah.
I'll fix that as soon as we can, but don't you worry.
Oh yeah, it's pretty good. I've got a 9 agility, so I move very stealth.
Good friend, Bob.
And he's definitely not the one you ever want to talk as a negotiator. God, no.
Yeah, I got you, Tin Can. Clanka.
He is like, his programming is his. He's his own self-indulgent AI.
And what about Oakland?
Oakland's a survivor, a traveler. who signed up with different mercenary group and different mercenary groups, selling his skills as a hacker to get into and out of different scrapes. Unfortunately, that didn't quite pan out in the past, and he's here with you guys now, looking for a brighter future. A note for a job, a couple of good traveling companions, working our way through this. He is incredibly intelligent, maybe even slightly egotistical about it, but is definitely the weaker of the group. Skilled in science and repair, energy weapons, and small arms. Oakland's got your back every day of the week.
Gonna be my favorite character.
Well, because he can fix you up.
Ding, ding, ding.
Perfect. And interestingly enough, I posted a link there in Discord. I actually, to stay with the naming scheme everybody else has, I actually found a place.
I tried.
Rebecca, Georgia.
Nice.
I was trying to find a town name, like a town someplace, because I'm like, there's got to be a town somewhere in the world called Rebecca, and I couldn't find it. Thank you. Your Google was superior to mine.
Yep. Incorporated as a town in 1904 and had a population of 246.
That is perfect.
All ghouls.
I'm simply still waiting to run across that postcard that seems apropos.
Scenic Silicon Valley.
All right. So does the Pack Brahmin have a name?
It will. I have not come up with one yet. But yes, I will name it.
Mr. Chonks.
I'm not giving it a cat name.
Fluffy!
Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Chonks. You address each head separately.
Yeah. I'll come up with a name for it.
What is it again?
A Brahmin? They're the big two-headed cows that are used for both milking and as pack animals.
Oh, all right. So you're
Yeah.
traveling with a cow, two-headed cow. Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
Call one head Turner and the other head Hooch.
I don't think she's that old.
Oh no, because Turner County. And then Hooch
well, I
just because
suppose.
alcohol.
Yeah.
Lady moves a lot.
I'll come up with a name. Don't worry.
I'm sure you'll get plenty of suggestions as we play on.
Meat on the hoof.
Undoubtedly. Oh, no, that's terrible. Janice. I like Janice as the suggestion. The mobile meat stick. No, that sounds horrible.
My
You could do
savior.
You could
My
have it
savior.
like Santa Monica or something, like two different names, but
Oh yeah, awesome. That'd be awesome.
yeah.
My savior. Bovine intervention.
Just have someone comment like the Brahmin's name doesn't seem. Oh no, that's Santa and that's Barbara. Santa Barbara. The Brahmin fits the naming structure.
I'll have to take a look.
Mo and Desto. Modesto.
San and Jose.
Oh God.
Do you know the way to San Jose?
I'll come up with it.
All right. Perfect. All right. So, any questions, comments, anything that people feel like we should touch on?
I know I still need to do some rolling for ammo and some of the wares that are on the cow or on the Brahmin. I've got most of my stuff added in, I'm still in the process of adding in the equipment that she's already got, but getting there.
The items are locked. I can't add the last items to my character sheet from tag skills or the automatic mod for the 10mm pistol.
One sec, I can throw the mod on there for you.
Awesome. Yeah, I was just looking there in the equipment section, and it was like tag skills. What about tag skills? You get these items because of your tag skills. So take a look at your tag skills in the equipment if you haven't yet.
The free doctor's code is pretty big.
Right? I get to walk around with a 10mm pistol automatic and a lab coat.
And the fact the lab coat gives you a free intelligence reroll.
Yeah, I'm adding in my food, water.
Good old survival.
Yeah, everything else.
I get a chem, some food and water, and some ammo.
Oh, I've got a personal trinket to add in there. But that's the last thing I've got to add before I need to start rolling for quantities or items.
Okay, there you go, Mike. I've modified your 10mm pistol for you.
Awesome. Thank you. And then we got the fusion cell extra bullets. Do I need to roll for those, or do you just want to roll for them?
I rolled for them. You got 15, so that was the 10 plus 5, right?
Yeah, and then the tag skill gives me an additional 6 plus 3D.
Another 8.
Nice. I can survive another 8 shots.
Perfect. All right. So what we'll do, if there's nothing that people feel like we need to touch on, we'll take like a quick bio break and stuff, and then we'll do just kind of like a little kind of encounter, just so you guys can get some hands-on with where things are on the character sheet, how combat and skills work, like hands-on as opposed to me just talking about it.
Cool.
Sound like a plan?
Yeah.
Heck
Good.
yeah.
He's fan.
Perfect. All right. So we'll take like quick 5-10 minutes, and then we'll be back with a little on-the-road encounter.
See ya.
Hello, Pine Top. What are you doing sitting around here with your head hung down, looking so sad?
I just think about all these piano players going around here making big money playing on these here records.
Well, why don't you play on some of these records?
That's a good idea, boy. I believe I start rehearsing right now.
boy, that ought to get it. Hello, Pine Top. What are you doing sitting around here with your head hung down, looking so sad?
I just think about all these piano players going around here making big money playing on these here records.
Well, why don't you play on some of these records?
That's a good idea, boy. I believe I start rehearsing right now. How's that?
Oh, boy, that ought to get it. Hello, Pine Top. What are you doing sitting around here with your head hung down, looking so sad?
I just think about all these piano players going around here making big money playing on these here records.
Well, why don't you play on some of these records?
That's a good idea, boy. I believe I start rehearsing right now.
boy, that ought to get it. Hello, Pine Top. What are you doing sitting around here with your head hung down, looking so sad?
I just think about all these piano players going around here making big money playing on these here records.
Well, why don't you play on some of these records?
That's a good idea, boy. I believe I start rehearsing right now. How's that?
Oh, boy, that ought to get it. Hello, Pine Top. What are you doing sitting around here with your head hung down, looking so sad?
I just think about all these piano players going around here making big money playing on these here records.
Well, why don't you play on some of these records?
That's a good idea, boy. I believe I start rehearsing right now.
back. So like I said, this is just going to be just like a simple little thing so you guys can see how the actual mechanics work hands-on, what the dice rolls mean, how action points are used, action economy, all of that stuff. So yes, so you guys have kind of banded together for safety, traveling from points unknown to the sunny little valley settlement of Paradise. Promise of work driving you on, since I think all of you are relatively low on caps. The promise of work and probably hopefully gainful regular employment as opposed to living hand to mouth, as it were, has pushed you forward deep into NCR territory. And as you're traveling through this kind of hard-packed ground, I will note for Fallout that there are rules for things like hunger, thirst, heat exhaustion, sleep deprivation, and all of that fun stuff. Much like if you click survival mode on New Vegas. So once game proper starts, you guys will need to make sure that you have things like food and water and all of that sort of stuff. There are also mechanics for all of the different chems, including addiction factors and what happens if you don't have it. All of your favorite Fallout diseases are represented. So yes, it's there is a survival aspect to things as well. Not as hardcore as in like an actual survival game like our Conan Exiles game, for example, but it's still going to be something that you'll need to be cognizant of. It's you're going to need to make sure that you have food and water. Thankfully, there's like at least two pages of food and beverages, because all of the things from Fallout 4 are available in the game.
I also clean water that we find, so yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, the integral boiler mod.
Less dirty water to make clean water.
Yep.
Perfect. So as you guys are making your way around, I will get everybody to give me we'll start things off with a perception and survival roll. Largely so you can see how the alt clicking works for skills, and also so you can probably generate some action points.
Individual checks or lead check?
We'll say individual checks.
Survival with which type?
Perception.
Gotcha.
The good news is that Jeff doesn't actually need food or water or sleep.
Yeah. And also, as a Mr. Handy, his perception difficulty is 1 less.
Nice.
Damn, though, 3 eyes.
Yeah. Oh, ouch.
All right. Perfect. So I'll add some action points in here. Should any of you wish to spend luck to reroll in order to reroll in this particular iteration of 2d20 on Foundry, if you left-click the die you want to change, and then hit the reroll button, it will reroll that 1 die. And much like other 2d20 games, there is the option to spend action points to obtain information after you get the baseline information from, for example, a perception check. So in this case, as you guys are traveling through this kind of canyony area, you do see what looks like signs of habitation. There's some very ratty-looking tents, some ratty-looking tables, and what are very obviously raiders set up, two in a kind of a watch post and then two at the actual encampment.
Just a quick question: is there a way that that I can tell the roller that what my character is instead of the player name?
Um,
Because I mean, all the other ones seem to do that.
Yeah, I think that's a setting that I have to change, and if I change it, it's probably going to refresh Foundry for everybody, so we'll worry about that for next game.
Sounds good.
Alright, you guys spot these raiders. They do not seem to have spotted you yet, but they are very, very clearly watching the canyon through which you need to travel.
Well, shit.
To try and sneak into start off with a surprise.
Yeah, I'm not much of a gunslinger. So maybe me and the Brahmin will just stay back here. Let you young folk take care of that problem. I'll patch you up if you need it.
What a fair.
I believe in you guys.
I'm going to engage stealth mode. I'm gonna start moving.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. You can give me
Sneak
a sneak roll. So you start moving stealthily. I mean, you don't make a lot of noise to begin with, since you don't crunch on the ground or anything of that nature.
And the whisper quiet drive. So I can move, what, one segment?
One for a minor.
Yep. So it's one zone for a minor action and up to 2 zones for a major action.
Well, in this case, I will slough along the outside. I don't like what's on my left, so what I'll do is I'll move up to here and get some cover.
Okay, perfect.
And Boise will make his way over towards those bushes so he can try and pop one of the raiders at a good range with his gun.
Okay. Alright, what are the rest of you doing? You see 2 of your party members just kind of move very stealthily into positions.
I give them a hearty thumbs up.
Okay.
Hey, Rebecca,
Hmm?
do you want to act as some bait with me?
Oh.
Distract those raiders as a merchant duo walking through the valley so our companions can sneak up? I think we can do this.
I mean, we could walk along the top ridge and make them look our way.
Are you talking like here? Sorry, I don't know if I'm clicking the right spot.
Oh, I'm talking up here.
That's down.
Is that down?
Yeah, because it's a ladder up to the other camp.
Oh.
Ah, you mean
Gotcha.
down in the valley. It's okay. I understand that up and down can be confusing sometimes. Let's go.
Well, they're probably going to looking to jump on people coming up that valley area, so that's perfect.
Yeah, probably going to be keeping an eye our way. So I'll kind of slap the Brahmin on the rear and make it moo as it walks along.
Okay.
Well, that'd be stereo mooing.
They do too. They'll moo at each other.
Murmur, murmur.
And keep the idle chatter up as we're walking along. Oh my, what wonderful weather. I sure hope no raiders come and attack us today.
God, I kind of want to sneak attack Oakland.
Rebecca will just look over at him like, really? That's... Yeah, okay.
They're going to be drooling after that beast.
Yeah, well, especially because it is like it's a pack Brahmin, so it's like loaded down with assorted stuff for sale.
Or at least it looks like it is. I mean, some of those,
But it's
pack
nice
bags
and
and stuff are
it's
probably...
nice and meaty, and it'll look good on a stick.
Oh, it does. Brahmin's very tasty. We are not eating my Brahmin.
Huh?
I'll milk it. No, it's fine. You're good. You're good. Just keep walking. I'll milk it for you. But nobody's taking a slice off.
And what would Malibu like to do?
Well, dogs are not known for their ability to climb ladders, so I think she's. I don't know why I just selected everybody.
The whole group shifts back as Malibu.
Apologies for that. She's gonna move up into this area with her dog in a stealthy fashion.
Okay. So you can give me a sneak roll.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
And a great sneak roll.
That is really good. Nice.
All right. Have to put that in the right order. All right. So you and Dogmeat sneak up. Essentially, the way I tend to run Dogmeat, because ordinarily, in order to get Dogmeat to do something, you would need to use your major action to command him. I tend to default it to Dogmeat will automatically assist you in what you're doing. And then if you want him to do something else, then you'll need to actually take the action to tell him to do something.
Got it. Thanks.
So it just otherwise it's kind of like when you play a ranger in 5th edition before they changed it, and the action economy for the Beastmaster is really, really bad.
I was thinking the exact same thing when I made the character. I'm like, man, I hope I don't end up like that. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah. And the important thing too is as you level, Dogmeat will also level at a somewhat slower rate, but he does get better as he goes.
Unlike Chudy the Brahmin there.
I was going to say, are the cows going to level up too? It's like, oh my god, +1 in milk production.
If only. That milk is amazing.
They actually do provide all of the rules so the Game Master can level up creatures and opponents to be... So, like, I could make, like, a level 20 bloatfly.
Oh, God.
And they also give you
Lord of the Flies.
They give you mechanics so that you can make them, like, notable or legendary as well.
Oh, God.
But with that comes commiserate XP and loot. So,
Lord Buzz, king of the blowflies.
Judge Chudy the Brahmin.
Right. The raiders don't notice the sneaky people, but they do notice the very obvious people.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The distractions working.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work.
When one of them steps forward and says, like, "Hey, you got to pay a toll to go through here."
Toll?
I heard this was a toll-free zone.
They kind of look at each other, No, you gotta pay.
What do you charge for something like that?
So one guy's like, 10 caps each. And then you hear kind of quieter, like, they got a Brahmin. They can easily afford 12 caps each. Like, 12 caps each.
Look over at Oakland. See, when they were only charging 10, I really could have paid for all of us, but 12's just too much.
It's out of my price range. Hey man, I'm just as broke as you. Where do I sign up?
Are you trying to become a raider?
No, just play along.
They
Yeah. You got any application forms up there?
they look hopelessly confused.
The application forms were. God, I feel old right now.
I really hope our team keeps moving.
Yeah, me too.
Yep.
Be nice.
I'm in my ideal range.
So while your distraction has hopelessly confused these two chem-addled raiders, what are the rest of you doing?
My resume's really slim. I don't know if I qualify.
I kind of want to off Raider 3.
Okay. So that would be a small arms roll. Difficulty goes down by 1 because they don't know you're there.
Yeah, and I'll use my minor for aim.
Okay. Just so the other players know, if you use a minor action to aim, you can re-roll one of your d20s for free. And if your weapon is accurate, you can spend... is it action points or ammo?
Action points because it's ammo for the other ability.
Oh no, sorry. It is 3 action points. That +1 per AP to the attacks and damage.
Yeah, but I don't have accurate yet. But I will take 1 AP for the third die.
Okay. The other advantage to attacking from unseen is your weapon is automatically considered to be vicious.
And that's how you reroll.
Nice.
Perfect. So that is a solid shot. Go ahead and roll your damage. You can. There are 2 extra action points if you want to spend those.
I've got nothing to spend on a normal damage roll.
Okay.
Since this is not a melee or a thrown.
Yep.
So that's 6 piercing, 1 vicious 1, so 12.
Oh.
Or 7 piercing 1. It's been a while since I've played with vicious. For some reason, I automatically doubled it.
Yep. So shot rings out. One of the raiders slumps over, very, very dead.
Did the shot come from the western sky?
No, it came from the Western Valley.
Alright. And the way sneak attacks work is basically whoever initiates the combat goes first, and then we drop into initiative order.
But I no longer have that sneak attack bonus.
Correct, because they know that you are there. But with your initiative of 18, you are up.
Yeah, nothing like generating, successes on that roll for more AP.
How do you roll initiative?
It's automatic.
It's automatic. It's just a flat number. They tried to do a really weird thing where you rolled a number of combat dice equal to your initiative rating, and then whoever rolled the most, that determined your initiative. But when you've got people with numbers like 18, 20, like rolling 20d6 to determine who goes first just seems painful.
Gotcha.
What's the range on your weapon?
Medium.
Perfect. That is a hit.
And of course, my reroll. So that was left arm.
Okay.
Or left leg, actually. Sorry. It lists all of them.
Yep.
So that went to 6. Oh, no, I didn't roll it yet. Never mind. Man, I'm dumb tonight. That
Out
one
of
is
practice.
3 piercing 1 to the left leg.
That guy is still standing. But the shot rings out through his legs. Oh, son of a bitch!
Toll's too high, asshole.
That will take us to AB5.
Cool. Well, I got to move to close to be able to use the flamer. So let me move. I rat in there. Hopefully, 10 feet can give me some cover. And I'm assuming that's close enough, right?
It is. Close range is same zone.
Yeah, thought so. Okay, so I'm gonna do some flaming action here. Now,
Ooh.
it's got burst, so how does that work?
All right. The way gun combat works is every gun has what's called a fire rate. I think for the flamer it's 4, so you can spend up to 4 additional ammo to add 4 extra dice of damage. And then the way burst works is if you roll any effects, you can spend 1 additional ammo to hit another target for every effect you roll.
Okay.
And the way persistent works is that first guy, if you roll any effects, he's going to take that same amount of damage again at the start of the next turn.
Well, it's kind of like I'm starting out playing Rory.
And the way spread works is it will hit extra locations on that guy as well.
Yeah, so that's consistent with Conan.
Yeah.
Now, if I spend a party AP, I can get an extra dice, right?
Correct.
All right, well, let's play around with that. I'll do that then.
Yeah. And then because they don't know you're there, your difficulty drops by 1 as well.
Sweet. Alrighty, so that would be big guns.
Yep.
Whoop.
Although if you just if you click the flamer, it'll do it for you.
That'll just like go into it.
Yep.
So then I just click it over to 3 for 3 dice and go from there.
Yep.
That's nice. It's so much better than the other one where you're like, I don't know, is it this one, that one, the other one?
That is a hit.
That's all we need. Oh, before I went, did I have to tell you how much ammo I'm using?
Yes. You can spend up to 4.
Yeah, I was going to spend the 4.
Perfect.
Because I really want to see how that works.
Yep. So yeah, if you click the damage thing, a little thing will pick up and just change the number to 7. Like, flamers are devastating, but they chew through ammo.
Yeah, but that burning is nasty.
Nothing like the smell of charred corpses.
Okay.
Ouch.
So, essentially what this is going to do is it's going to do...
Jesus.
It does 10 damage to the guy that you hit, and then it spreads 3 times for 3 more instances of 5.
Ew.
And I'll spend the 1 extra ammo to make it hit the second target.
So the second target is also going to take 10. It doesn't spread, and it doesn't light him on fire. Had the 25 damage not been enough to kill that guy, then on the next round he would take 10, and on the next round he would take 10, and on the next round he would take 10.
And that's why asbestos lining is your friend.
So yeah, so life is good. That's my turn.
Well, there's 2 less raiders.
Barbecue. I love
Okay.
the smell of meat bags in the morning.
That will take us to Oakland.
I think they smell terrible.
Just checking. What's the range on my 10 millimeter?
Normally close.
10 millimeter
Yep.
is close. So
Same zone.
So same zone is base difficulty. 1 zone away, difficulty goes up by 1, and then another zone away, difficulty goes up by another 1.
Oh, hey
Okay.
Chris.
Yep.
At the end of my turn, could I have moved closer to the cliff face?
Yeah, because it's all the same zone, so you can be anywhere in that zone you like. So.
Cool.
Since I'm in the zone right beside the zone where the raiders are, D1 to shoot him with my pistol, right?
Difficulty goes up by 1, so it'd be total difficulty of 2. Because it's a base 1 to hit them. You'll notice on your character sheets that you have a defense stat, and that's the base difficulty to hit you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for most people it's 1. For people with an agility of 8 or higher, it's 2.
And if I get that 10, it's a 3.
Yeah. So that is going to be a miss. You could spend 2 luck to reroll both of those if you wanted to, or you can just take the miss.
I'll take the miss and then use a. Can I hide behind the rocks over here for cover?
Yeah, you can move over there. That will take us to Rebecca.
I'm really not fond of this whole shooting thing, but she'll pull her pipe gun and point it up toward the 2 guys that we've kind of been playing with here,
Okay.
Raider 4, and she'll take a shot at him. Not that she actually expects it to hit.
Okay. So that'll be difficulty of 3.
And it's where did my thing just go? There it is. And it's perception.
Nope. If you just click the gun, it'll do it automatically for you.
Yeah, I did that, but it's perception and small guns, correct?
It's perception for energy weapons.
Oh,
yeah.
so it's agility.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Same number either way, but
yeah.
No, I am just cover fire.
Pew pew.
Okay. The one raider that's left, ordinarily he would probably run, but there's a slight chance that he might actually hit somebody, and that way you guys will get to see how damage works. So he kind of half stumbles down the ladder from his bleeding leg wound, and he is going to shoot at Rebecca with his pipe gun.
Not the doctor. No. What about the guy that shot him?
Medic!
Oh, wow.
Oh no!
That's why he shot the doctor, I guess.
Yep.
Oh dear.
So that's going to be 2 action points for me.
Okay. And he hit me in the
Torso.
where?
Right in the torso.
Okay.
For 1 whole point of damage.
I have 1 whole point of armor.
So your armor absorbs the significantly underpowered slug.
She'll definitely yelp, and then look down and go, "Oh, whew, good investment." I like this stuff.
So yes, so damage resistance, just like in Conan, just like in Star Trek, damage resistance just flat out stops damage unless it's piercing. If you take any damage, it comes off your hit points or your health. If you take 5 or more damage in a single hit after armor, it will cause an injury to that location, and they all have different effects. Like if you take an injury to the leg, you automatically fall prone. If you take an injury to the head, you're stunned. If you take an injury to the torso, you have a bleeding gut wound and will take damage automatically each round until the wound is treated.
Well, at least not for about taking damage.
Yep. So losing hit points is kind of bad, but when you start taking injuries, that's actual serious health issues.
And they can stack up and kill you.
And they can stack up and kill you.
And they are.
The more injuries you have, the harder it is for Rebecca to heal you.
Two broken legs makes it hard to run away from the bad guys.
Very. Yeah.
It's usually an issue when you start running into like more powerful bad guys with things like chain guns and stuff, or a modified flamer. Like our last game, by the time it ended, our flame bot was rolling somewhere in the vicinity of 21 dice for damage.
Missile launchers and grenades are pretty effective as well.
Oh yeah, no. Three learned how to use grenades and was tried to lead off combat with them.
Yeah, they were very handy.
So yes, much like the video games, as you go, you know, equipment plays a big part in how effective you are. Malibu.
I imagine it starting with her like having a conversation with Dogmeat, where she's like, "Okay, Dogmeat, I'm going to take this pistol. I'm going to shoot one of those raiders." And she turns and looks over and sees AB5 completely roasting both of them to death, and goes, "Okay, well, I guess I'll move down there and I'll take out one of those." And she looks over and sees Boise completely obliterating Raider number 3, and goes, "Okay, maybe we'll just try to shoot this other one, and you stay up here with me." And she will move over here.
Okay.
And it will be an additional difficulty because she has a 10mm pistol and it's close range, I believe.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. She's going to spend a luck point to replace her luck skill, which is significantly better than all of her other abilities. And she's also going to open up her Pip-Boy, which Chris, you have to help me because I've never used it, but she has the VATS targeting system, so she can basically just target his head for free. Is that right?
Correct.
Any location, but the head is always worthwhile.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it tends to sometimes not be armored.
Most times.
Yeah. So what you can do when you click on the 10mm pistol under weapons, and the little pop-up comes, attribute, just scratch whatever's there and put in your luck attribute.
Okay, perfect. And here we go. Wow, that was not amazing.
That is just a miss. You could spend a luck to reroll the 14 if you wanted to, but...
Nah, I don't think I'm going to spend it to reroll.
Okay. That will take us back around to Boise.
I respect that shot. All the lead thrown at the Raider. I will take my aim. I will take an AP because I love filling the tank back up. And that's why I like my aim, because you never know when that's going to pop up.
Oof. That is a nice shot.
Very nice shot.
So 5 piercing 4 to his chest.
Oh!
And
I advise not smoking.
He drops with a sucking chest wound.
Sucking chest wound. Probably missing an entire lung.
Yet, there is blood like pouring out of that chest wound. So yes, so as you can see, combat in this can be very one-sided against like low-level enemies.
It swings the other way really quick.
Yeah, it can swing very. I mean, it's not like Forbidden Lands level of swinginess, but it can swing very, very quickly. A key thing is if you run into, like, had a bunch of these raiders not died right away, if I decide to group them up, then one guy makes an attack with the others assisting him, but they get +1 to damage for each person in the group. So that little 3 dice of damage could have easily turned into like 6 dice of damage, which runs a significant threat of causing an injury. So if you encounter groups, thinning the ranks is generally beneficial. That being said, yes, combat can be very, very quick in this.
And just
Well,
to
they are
clarify,
guns. Sorry.
just to clarify, Chris, the flamer is still a ranged weapon, so I can use center mass on it.
Yes.
Sweet.
Oh, you absolutely can.
Oh,
Center
yeah.
mass is a thing of beauty. I used to use it all the time when I was playing JJ the Gun Bunny.
Well, it helped make up for a lot of the time you can't aim.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. She couldn't aim because she was too jittery from her past as a raider. But yeah.
Just in this system, the rerolls are amazing to have, and I looked at that and I went, "Oh, I want some of that."
Yep. And because there are hit locations, you guys can do called shots. The difficulty for a called shot increases by 1, but it might be worth it. Like if you know you can take out somebody's leg so they can't close distance with you, or take out their arm where it's not armored so that they drop their two-handed weapon. The Pip-Boy, the big advantage of the Pip-Boy is there's no increase in difficulty for doing a called shot.
Very nice.
It's how they kind of simulate the bats.
I dig that. I was wondering how they did it and just didn't read that far yet.
Yep. So it's really handy, like because a lot of people on Fallout don't wear helmets. I know.
Or in the case of power armor, it's the most lightly armored part of the body.
Yeah, I know. Even when I play the video games, I don't wear helmets because I always make my character look gimpy. Like nobody makes good-looking headgear in video games. So it's like I will take the risk of being shot in the head just so I can see what my character actually looks like.
I mean, you spend 17 hours in the character creator getting that face just right. You want to look at it the entire game.
That's right. All right. So yes. So there are some dead raiders. There is a little encampment that you guys can scavenge.
Absolutely.
Good work.
Oh, go ahead.
Oakland will walk up to Rebecca, clap her on the shoulder, and say, "See, told you it would work."
Yeah, it worked out real well. Not bad.
You go
don't
search through
usually
the
have
area
anything.
where I am.
Okay.
2 dead raiders and some stuff.
All right. So the way scavenging works, whenever you guys find any sort of location, is it's a group roll as everybody kind of spreads out to search through. The difficulty is based on the location and how heavily searched it has been before. And then there are a wide variety of random loot tables because it's Fallout and you're going to find crap. The way it'll work is, for example, this raider camp has between 0 to 2 clothing, between 1 and 3 food, between 0 and 2 beverages, between 0 and 1 chems, and between 1 and 4 junk. So if you're successful on the roll, you will get 1 food and 1 junk. And then every action point you spend gives you an additional roll on the table of your choice up to the maximums for those different items. So say you get 3 action points, you could say, like, if we spend 1, we can get 1 chem. If we spend another one, we can get a beverage. We've already got 1 junk. Do we really want other junk? Junk is used to break down into components that you use for creating mods and stuff. And that
Fill
is that is on top of whatever gear and stuff you manage to pull off the raiders.
I found in our previous Fallout game, the easiest way to keep track of everything was just created a spreadsheet in Google Drive
Good old
that everybody
Google
had
Sheet.
access to.
Good old Google Sheet.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was handy. Everybody was able to access it and see what we had as a group. And yeah, made life easier.
And I would recommend, harkening back to the very, very, very first days of D&D, that you do have one person that you nominate as the treasurer to keep track of the loot. Because loot in Fallout, much like the video game, it tends to pile up.
Volunteers. Because some people do enjoy doing that.
I can do it unless someone else wants to.
Well, I can do it as well. Seeing as how I'm going to be making all the mods, I may as well pay attention to what we have. It's all going in your Brahmin anyways, so.
No, that's solid logic. It's part of why when Anita wasn't maintaining it, I was working on it because I was half the mod team for working on stuff.
You're going to be making most of the stuff or mods or whatever because of your skill set. So yeah, that'd be great because then you can keep track of all the junk you can turn into stuff.
Yep, I'm just making a new Google Sheet right now, and I'll share it in the Discord in just a few moments.
In the meantime, as you guys search around, I need a group perception and survival check.
Okay, so that's where pool matters.
Yep. So the way a group check works is whoever is leading the search is going to roll 2 dice, and then everybody else rolls 1 die.
Now, Jeff has a reduced difficulty, but what is his roll? What's number?
Well, okay, what are we looking at? Perception, I've got a 6, and I've got, was it survival?
Yep.
And I've got 2 in survival.
Okay, so you have an 8, I have a 12, but like I said, you have a reduced difficulty to calculate in there.
I've only got a 9.
And the difficulty is 3, but it's your combined successes that need to get 3 or better.
Yeah. It's also a tag for me. Is it a tag for you?
Yep.
No, it's not tagged for me.
I took it because one of my starting perks, I took Pathfinder for when we go exploring.
Nice. My tags end up being energy weapons, small guns, and sneak.
Okay. Well, I can lead then. I'll take some AP for dice.
Yeah, the odds of you making 3 successes, than me making 2, obviously, is probably more in your favor than it is in mine.
I don't know if I can still do this, Chris, but I wanted to use luck of the draw and spend a luck point so that we can find more flamer fuel for AB5.
Okay, perfect.
I'll spend a luck on the 19. For that.
Much better.
Okay.
And you said everyone else was able to help?
Yep, yeah. Everybody else is able to help, so everybody else is going to roll perception and survival at 1 die.
And Oakland and AB5. Ooh.
I am 100% completely oblivious.
That was much better.
Oh, and dog meat. Dog meat helps.
Good boy.
So that is a total of 2. 5. 6. Total of 9. So you have 6 AP. Minus the. So there's a total of 9 AP counting the. If you want to empty out the pool. Which I believe.
I think that's. Is that like every. Would that be like everything rolled? Or is that more than.
That would be everything except for. You can get everything except for one thing.
That's some tempting, ain't it, folks?
That's really nice.
It's basically going to give you some extra stuff to have on when you get to Paradise.
So everything but only 3 junk instead of 4?
If that's one of the options, that sounds good to me.
Does that include the right kind of ammo for my luck spend?
The luck spend is just going to be automatic on top of everything else.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, speaking of which, I would like to do the same thing with a luck spend to find conveniently a 10mm handgun somewhere.
Okay. Sure. We can do that.
Sounds good. 'Cause I'm pretty sure that's the ammo I've got.
All right. So we're just going to kind of go through the list of things that you guys get automatically. Somebody can roll 2d20. You have to let me know what you rolled because I've got a book open.
7 and a 5.
Found some iguana bits.
Tasty iguana bits.
By bits, like balls and stuff.
It's like iguana on a stick.
Except not.
Oh.
It's just little chunks of iguana, because iguana on a stick is a separate, distinct
That's
thing.
true, yeah.
Steak.
And roll 2d20 for...
Oh,
I got it.
A 1 and a 16.
Yep, 1 and a 16.
Okay. You pull a set of casual clothing off of one of these charred husks.
Cool. Must have been wearing it under the stuff.
He was wearing it underneath his road leathers, which are just like... When you go to like move the body to see what he's got, his armor, his like stuff just kind of flakes off, and the Hawaiian shirt and cargo shorts are underneath it.
Sweet.
And another d20, or 2d20.
Somebody.
Well, since no one's jumping, 4 and a 9.
Set of engineer's armor.
Ooh.
Hot damn.
Woo!
That was food, 2d20.
Sure. 14, 18.
What's the total?
32.
Some silt bean.
Good old silt bean.
Makes good soup.
And 2d20 again.
I'll get it.
Big 9.
3 and a 6.
Some fancy lead snack cakes, preserved.
Oh, those are the best kind.
Oh, preserved ones.
Preserved ones.
How ironic. The robot finds good food.
I like to think he's just searching through things and he's just like tossing shit with his pincher arm, just like, you know, all this useless junk, snack cakes go flying by.
Where's that 10 millimeter? I need it.
In the in our last game, Don's character, HK, he always used to keep water and food on him as emergency rations for the meat bags.
And a bribe.
And a bribe.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right, 2d20 on the beverages table.
I'll hit it. 11 and 3.
14, a bottle of bourbon.
That's the stuff.
Damn, Pappy.
Oh, there.
That's good.
Yeah, that's tradable.
And I will note that alcohol in this game actually does give you a benefit.
And drawbacks, but benefit.
And drawbacks, but yeah, benefits.
It may even be flamer fuel.
And another 2d20.
Got it. 18.
18. And a bottle of beer.
Oh, dear Lord.
We're getting drunk tonight.
Oh, no. Just imagine how skanky that is.
Yeah, well.
Hey, it might be Corona. It might be better off having been skanked.
Well, I mean, it could be Heineken. There's like, what, a skunk and 4 to 6 bottles?
Ew.
And the final roll on the chem table is 2d20.
All right, give me a second here. Someone just gave me yet another Steam pop-up. There we go. 15.
15. Some daddy-o.
Yeah, there's some charisma chems, folks.
Increase difficulty of all perception and intelligence rolls by 1 whenever you are not under the effects of daddy-o.
If addicted, yeah.
Yeah, that's bad.
Sellable.
But reduce the difficulty of all perception and intelligence tests by 1, but add 1 to charisma tests.
Yeah. Because it's Oakland schmoozing right there.
Right?
The chemical composition of this drug is identical to my DNA.
And if I combine it with my mentats, I am unstoppable.
And you also find 56 pieces of miscellaneous assorted junk.
Woo!
In the playtest, they had like actual tables with all of the junk. Like, you know, in Fallout, you get like the Abraxo cleaner and like Mr. The Buttercup pony parts and all of that stuff. They had
Giddy
charts,
up, Buttercup.
yeah.
Giddy up, Buttercup.
They had charts that had all of that stuff, but the page count on it was tremendous.
Yeah.
There. You guys have access to the sheet. Should be there.
Oh, okay. I was about to ask, where's the... Oh, that knows it's 2 tab.
Perfect. And as you kind of police the bodies of the raiders... you do find the 10mm pistol.
Yay!
And you do find some flamer fuel.
Sweet!
Uh, 19 flamer fuel.
Dang.
Sweet! Thank you!
But as you police the bodies, you do find that they've got some very crappily made pipe guns.
Pipe guns be pipe guns.
So
Good for selling.
there's a total of 4 of those. There's a total of 25 .38 rounds. Combined total of 42 caps, obviously from previous toll payers. And 2 sets of road leather, because the guys that AB killed are probably pretty toasty. That was enough damage that they probably turned into that little ash pile that you get to pick through in Fallout.
But without the unsalvageable, without the salvageable gear.
Without the salvageable gear.
Hey, I turned into a pile of goo. Ha! His armor's intact.
And everybody gets 14 XP. But yes, that'll give you a little example of kind of like how combat and salvaging sorts to go. That's kind of 2 things that happen fairly frequently in Fallout.
Funny how that works.
But with that, we'll bring this session to a close, and then we'll pick up in 2 weeks with the first like actual game as you guys arrive in Paradise.
Paradise by the dashboard lights.
Not many of those lights anymore.
Yeah, just keep it to 15 seconds or less, and we won't get dinged.
Yeah, it's like I
Chris, is
time
that gonna-
myself.
Sorry?
Is it going to be that our quests are kind of identified once we hit Paradise? Like, or does this count as a completed quest and then...
For luck regaining purposes, when you arrive at Paradise, your luck will refresh. That way we'll start the campaign proper with everything fully refreshed.
Got it. Okay.
But yeah, this way you guys have a little bit of things that you can barter or sell or break down once you get to Paradise, so it'll give you some more options rather than just like going like, hey, yub, where's the job?
Yeah, we're broke.
Yep.
So, also I need to roll the 3 to go with the 6 for my 10mm ammo that I have.
So just roll 3d6. So 3, so 13.
Nice. And when you get a chance, can you
Man.
throw the 10mm into my weapons?
Yep.
Thank you, Matt.
If you're taking an item out of the loot sheet, I'm removing it off the loot sheet.
Fair.
Make sure you add it to
Yeah.
the character sheet because it's not on the Brahmin anymore.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to keep track. Once we're done the stream, Chris, I need to roll 9 wares that were already on the Brahmin,
Okay.
and I need to roll for my ammo as well.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So we will see everybody in 2 weeks for the proper campaign start. When it comes to mechanics and stuff, we'll go through everything step by step. You know, the first couple of times until everybody gets it, but it's a pretty easy system, so it shouldn't be too difficult.
Yes.
Gwar
If
never
anyone's-
changes.
If anyone has played the other systems, it's pretty easy to get adapted to this one, I think.
Yep, for sure. Perfect. All right. So yes, we will see everybody in a couple of weeks, and we'll see some people. We'll see people for Conan this weekend. We'll see people for
Tuesday night is
Ravenloft, which we don't stream.
okay.
Wednesday
is
Marvel, which we do stream. Thursday is Forbidden Lands / Isle of Dread, which we do stream. Saturday is Conan that we don't stream. Sunday is Conan that we do stream.
I'll see you for Forbidden Lands Sunday night.
And then next Sunday at this time is our ongoing Forbidden Lands game.
And you might accidentally see Anita at some point.
Yeah.
During Forbidden Lands, on the alternating Sundays, yes, I'm in the background of Chris's stream every now and then, sitting at my laptop. And then the 24th, we'll be back here for Fallout again.
You know, we need you to come play Conan, by the way.
No, I'm good. I'm in one Conan game.
You sure?
I'm not that much of a fantasy fan. Star Trek, I could play every day and be quite content. Or Fallout, I could play every day and be content. Fantasy, not so much. And I'm already kind of stretching it with, I'm in 3 fantasy games right now.
Yeah. Ours
D&D.
is kind of a somewhat game. It's whenever we play it.
Whenever everybody can get together and nobody's got something big going on that they can't miss.
Honestly,
like birthdays, other birthdays, trips, and
honestly, our Conan game is less fantasy, more horror, I think.
Fantasy horror, right there.
Oh, I've listened in on some of the stuff you guys have been up to, and it's like, for a pirate ship, they spend an awful lot of time on land in places that are landlocked, like the desert.
Oh, especially now.
Snow-covered expanses. It's like, are you sure they're pirates?
we're indulging Ragnar in his quest to regain his name, and boy,
they're land pirates.
And
I mean, if Sinbad did it, right? He'd park his ship in a harbor somewhere, go inland adventuring, come back, running away with the loot into his ship and get away.
And to be fair, in our Conan game, water is where the tentacle monsters live.
True.
Until it's into the same tentacle monsters.
Yeah, let's not even talk about the current undead gonna eat the world problem that we seem to have.
Yeah. I'm sure you guys will be fine.
I have to find a helmet.
All right. So we will see everybody in a couple of weeks.
Ciao.
Have a great night,
folks.
Ciao.